ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is first 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of First and 12 Ounces. What a weekend. What a weekend of the semifinals of college football. We did touch on the Notre Dame Penn State game on the live, if y'all were able to tune in. What a game. I think Bo's probably the most ecstatic Irish fan in in evidently, obviously, in the pod, but probably in our little circle of TikTok, YouTube, whatever, everything that we do, and then we just lost him. As I'm giving him his shout outs for his Irish doing good. Because as we all know, Bo is always on the move. He'll pop in here in a minute. There he is. Look. Bo's at home and Bo still can't sit still.
No, it just told me my mic got disconnected. So I don't know. It's acting up.
Oh. But yeah, so Bo's got something happy about going into the national championship game. Hey, guess what? Bo kind of called the shot after the NIU game. He said it jokingly, but he said, "Hey, all we gotta do is win out, and we'll meet up with Texas." And hey, half of that came came true. The other half, not so much. I mean, Texas falls 28-14 to Ohio State. It was a 14-7 game at half. Honestly, it was a 7-7 game at half, and then last second screenplay house by Ohio State, and they jump up 7 to go in a half, and then Texas comes out in the third, settles for a little bit, ties it up, going to the fourth, drawn out. Ohio State put some points up. About midway through the fourth, they scored. I mean, they got shut out in the third quarter, so Texas did good defensively there. Fourth quarter, they gave up another touchdown, and then Texas goes down quick, super quick. Quinn comes alive and just starts hitting everything that he could, drives them down, gets them down to the red zone on first and goal, and boom, everything kind of falls apart. Fumble on fourth down, scoop and score, pretty much clinched the game. But going into that, I know we criticized it on the live, and we talked about the pitch play that Sark called. It's a play that's been called all year. If you go back and look at it, it's a play that Texas used a lot, and it worked a lot. But Ohio State was waiting for it. Caleb Downs even said it after the game. He said it's a play that we've seen them use and were successful with all year long. The crap toss to the boundary, and he said when we saw the formation, we knew it was coming, and sure enough, they read for 7 yards off, and then you get put in 4th and 8, and it's kind of like, what the hell's going on? Like,
are you? God, Bo down here, he's like, please.
I'm sorry, guys. Okay,
I'm trying to listen to your analysis. Bam, bam, bam.
I'm starting the carnivore diet, so I had to go get all my fucking meat, and I gotta go put it away.
Both the fucking dry cleaners right now, changing out a load of laundry. Golly, Moses, Bo.
Hey, Bo's always in movement. We know that. But yeah, I mean, Caleb Downs said it after the game. It was a play that they were going to be ready for. They have been seeing Texas be successful with it all year and use it. It was a play that they used in big time plays, and they were ready for it. And after that 7-yard loss, they put pressure on Quinn. Quinn missed through Matthew Golden, or I think it was Wingo on the third and 8.
And then fourth. Yeah.
The missed throw before that. The missed throw before that, and then it set up the scoop and score that happened. It sealed up the game pretty much. Outside of that, Quinn played a hell of a game. 23, 39, 283 in the air, 2 touchdowns and an interception. One thing that stuck out was a lack of running game. But not only for Texas, there wasn't really a running game for Ohio State either. Their leading rusher, I think, had 45 or 46 yards. Weisner had 46. Were the leading rushers. And get this, guess who the leading wide receiver or the leading receiver for Texas was?
It's Tate. Cardell Tate.
No, that's for Ohio State.
That's what I was
Oh,
saying. No, for Texas.
Let me get Jaden Blue.
Yeah, Jaden Blue was the leading receiver for Texas. So, I mean, Ohio State's defense stepped up, shut down the wide receivers where they couldn't do much. Jaden Blue kind of cost them. Outside of that, Ohio State played the better game. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. Um, Especially as a Texas fan, because this is the second year in a row you get to the semifinals and you get to a series to take you to the national championship. It came down to one play last year. It came down to one series this year, and it just didn't work out. How you feeling about it, Shoney?
You know, at a point, it sucks ass. Losing games like that's brutal. I know that some of our A&M audience and things like that. They don't know what that's like to lose a game in that spot, but it is brutal. It's hard. Sometimes it's harder to get over that. I'm fine though. I think that I was at Pluckers today. I was talking to my dad, and we were both just like, it was a fun season. You come and play away. You come and play away. Coming into the game, I predicted to be a defensive battle. I thought both defenses would have a dialed-in game plan. Both defenses were primed to attack the offenses. You know what I mean? I thought the defenses on each side were better than the offense on the other side, just with the season as a whole looking at it. And yet, these games like this, like I said, the clutch moments, who wins the clutch moments will win these games. And Ohio State won the clutch moments. The touchdown at the end of the half with the worst call of the game, offense or defense, Pete Kwiatkowski brought a cornerback blitz on the last play of the half. They ran a slip screen and just housed it. Nobody in sight. That was cockamamie. That was a cockamamie decision by Pete there. And then you move forward, and we bounced back in the second half. We scored a touchdown to tie it up. We're looking good. It's kind of back and forth. Both teams are getting stops, but Texas was having some momentum in my eyes as far as the game, the swings of the game, the pressure we were applying. We got an interception. We hadn't turned it over yet. It was looking really good. Quinn Ewers was making some really good plays. Those pitches he made to Weisner while going down, getting sacked to extend drives, I think was on the touchdown drive. At that moment in time, I felt like, oh, we're going to fucking win this game. It's those plays that I thought would win it. But the run game was the Achilles heel all year long. The Georgia loss and the Ohio State loss, we couldn't find consistent run game. We couldn't score in the red zone because we don't have a running game. And when you watch that play, Ohio State did roll down, they kicked down, anticipating the crack toss, had 8 guys on 5, and we didn't check out of it. You know what I mean? That's something that you'd usually like to see the players notice, but they rolled down at a really good time, and that's what they're good at doing, disguising till the perfect time and getting in a perfect defense to shut you down. That's why they were the best in the country. But I look at this and look at things going forward as bright as they have ever been. It's harder than it's ever been to win a national championship. You got to go much longer ways. Ohio State in last year's playoffs wouldn't even be in the playoffs after losing that game to Michigan. They're everybody's favorite to win the national championship. That's another discussion. But it's what are you gonna do? You come play away two years in a row. I'm happy with where the program stands. The play calling stuff I want to address first and foremost. Sark's not ever going to give up his play calling duties, not anytime soon. And in fact, if he was asked to, Sark would leave. I'm very confident in that. Sark is by on many accounts the best play caller in the country. Nick Saban thinks he's the best play caller in the country. I think he is. I think he's the best play caller in the last 2 decades of college football. He's called plays in the NFL. I think he could be a head coach and call plays in the NFL. I just don't think you get an upgrade, especially one that matches his philosophy, what he wants to do offensively, all of his beliefs, and do a better job than he does calling plays. I think these games, you can point at a lot of things. Point at the run game, like we said. Point at the play at the end of the half of the defense where we're in a position where we probably kick a field goal. We still take the lead 17-14 there instead of going for it on 4th and 8. You got a quarterback that self-sacks himself a lot and plays that really the protection was fine and he stepped into sacks or can't elude a sack and extend a play. I'm not bashing Quinn. I'm just saying that kind of comes into play calling. There's a million things you can look at. The easiest thing you could always do is be like, that play call was bad. But the play calling is essentially what built this program. His scheme, his play calling, how good it is, how much people love it. It's the bloodline to his recruiting foundation that he built. It's why he got Arch Manning. It's like we're grasping at pearls here when we got here without our starting running back all year long. We lost our left tackle going into the SEC championship game. We won games without him. We won games without our right tackle. We had our starting safety get a season-ending injury. You can look at a lot of stuff and be like, this team, our quarterback was hurt for 4 games. This team overcame a lot of stuff to come a hair away from the national championship. If you keep doing that, someday you're going to get those bounces. I think that you look at this Texas season and it's like there's 2-3 teams that were probably better than Texas. But on any given day, Texas could beat those 2 to 3 teams. And I think on any given day, this Final Four could have beaten anybody that was in it. And as a college football fan, that's where I wanted to be with the expanded playoff. And I think that you just got to look at it, man. Maybe this is because I'm battered. I compare it to Danny McBride's character in Pineapple Express. He has like 13 bullet holes and won't die. Me as a Cowboys fan, like I guess we'll probably talk about the Cowboys at some point in this with the news or give me a take. I can get into like the timeline of that, but I've been traumatized a lot. So with this, it's like, I'm beat to shit. I hate Ohio State. Everybody knows that. I hate Ryan Day. I've talked a lot of shit about Jack Sawyer and put out that video of him crying after the Michigan game like 50 times across the socials leading up to this game. But it was a fun ass season. We had a lot of success. We went to the SEC championship. We were very close. And I think that since we do these TikTok lives right after the games, win or lose, I'm able to music right away, go to war with the fan base trying to kill me. And I crawl out, I ain't dead yet. I ain't dead yet. So
Miracle.
we'll
Miracle.
be back with Arch Manning, and we're gonna take another run at it.
Got you. Who wants to go next? You or Bo?
I'll go.
Buddha.
I'll go. I thought me and Pete touched on it a little bit, in the live and kind of stick the same point. I think the better team won the game. The team that made like Shawnee pointed out, the clutch plays. And I thought the thing that impressed me with Ohio State was their ability to punch back every time they got punched. Right? Like Texas tied it up there. You're thinking this thing's going to halftime, where there was a point where it kind of felt like Ohio State was controlling it. Texas came storming back. It's tied up, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got a game, and then they punch back immediately and take a lead. Texas drives the ball to the 1, and it's like Texas has all the momentum. Quinn's making plays that are not really his style of play, like these improvised. He made them back to back to Jaden Blue,
Yeah,
and like not his style of football, right? Like, and at that point, it was like, oh, Texas has everything going right here, and then Ohio State dropped a haymaker, which was very impressive, very unlike a Ryan Day coach football team. And I know Shawnee touched on the play calling thing. It's a very the reason. So, but everybody listen. The reason this gets brought up is since 1997, only 3 head coaches who are also the play caller have won a national title. So there's a pretty big sample size to show, and it hasn't happened in 11 years. So it was Tom Osborne did it in 97. Spurrier did it. Or was it Spurrier? I think
No,
no. It was
Pete
Pete
Carroll.
Carroll. Pete Carroll did it with one of the USC teams. Osborne did it in 97, and then Jimbo Fisher did it, and that was what, 14 or 13?
13. Spurrier, I feel like's got to be in that because they won one with Warfel. I don't
He
know
did
what year.
like in 95 or 96.
Okay,
Osborne did it 3 years at the helm. So he
97
all,
was the
all
last
yeah,
one.
all the national championships at the time of Osborne
Yeah.
won play caller. Pete Carroll, the
It was
quotation.
the 04 season.
Yeah. Well, and then the quotation one, the one
Yeah,
that
so it's really only 2, technically. Only 2 coaches since the reason I use the 96, 97 time frame is that's when, more half the pod basically was born. So basically in our lifetime, it's only really happened twice, and 3 if you give Pete Carroll his credit in 04. I personally don't, but it's still, they are a national champion in somebody's book. Now, I think it's a tough one here, because Sark is probably the best play caller in the last 20 years. He's definitely the best play caller in the sport right now. I don't know. Like, in my side of the argument is, like, if I was sitting there as Texas and I'm a play away 2 years in a row, or a couple plays away 2 years in a row, maybe it's something I at least look at. I at least have the conversation and go, is this maybe the difference maker? Because clearly we've got a great roster, a great play caller, and we're still coming up short.
Yeah.
And that's where I look at it. We're like, and it's not an indictment on Sark. Like, I think Sark's the best play caller in the sport. I just look at that information and go, man, there's been a lot of really good play callers and a lot of really good defensive play callers and offensive play callers. And for only Tom Osborne, who's a top 5 coach maybe to ever live in the sport, Pete Carroll ended up being a great NFL coach also. And then Jimbo Fisher, which is clearly the outlier, right? Like, Spurrier did it also in like 95 or 96. Like, Fisher's the outlier, but like, I don't know. I kind of look at it then and go, it's been 11 years, so it's over a decade. I don't know if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck at some point. Maybe it's a duck.
And I understand the argument, and I also think it drives a lot of engagement. Good to have this. I understand it. I think that there are outliers. I think that it's really hard to win a national championship anyway. So like you can always find like 10-year stats or something somewhere if you dig hard enough. But I don't feel like he should give it up. Not only because like I think he's really good at it, and I don't think there's an upgrade, but I don't think we lost because of the play calling the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Like the Washington game, we had multiple turnovers like on drives that were looking really good that kill you, and Quinn Ewers could have made a better throw where we win that game at the end. You know what I
Who's
mean?
the
And then
quarterback coach?
it's Sark and AJ Milwee.
So I
So
guess
AJ,
this is
I
where my
feel like
question would go. You may not lost to play calling, but is there a world that exists because he has to spend time in play calling that maybe something behind the scenes, such as
that's
quarterback coaching, recruiting, total CEO type job, is lacking somewhere? Like, the play calling is still elite and it probably can't get better, but is it
right.
causing maybe something else to drop off instead of being at 100%, being at 90%, and that 10% is the reason that you're losing games where you could probably find a play caller with Sark's logic behind it. I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like a lot of the Saban defenses. Like, he didn't call the defense, but like it was like his deal.
Yeah, no, like I think that see, and that's what I'm getting at kind of is like one, I think he's not lacking in other areas. We just brought the number 1 recruiting class in. I think his game management has improved from year 1 to where he's at now a lot. There was a point in time where I would have said like, yeah, you could point at Sark like he doesn't use timeouts in the first half. He would take 3 timeouts to the half like every time. And there would be points in the half where it's like, we could get some points here. Use a timeout, you don't keep them. Like, it was things like that, but I think he's steadily improved. He's still very young. And like I said, like I don't think it was play calling. I legitimately think that as good as Texas was, as close as I think Texas and Ohio State were, I think Ohio State had 1 or 2 more horses. And that's why they beat us. I think that game was as close as it was. And whether that horse is, and their kicker missed some kicks against Michigan in the game they lost, but if that's a thing. We benched Bert Auburn, and it didn't look like he was going to throw Will Stone out there to kick anything other than an extra point. Because the first touchdown on the first drive of the game, we went for it instead of kicking a field goal. Would have been like a 47-yard field goal. We go for it. Ohio State gets it in great field position. They're able to run their first script of the game and go score a touchdown. That's where I was like, maybe even just pin them deep and do a little pooch punt or something else. But regardless, it's like I just think Ohio State maybe had 1 or 2 more guys. Maybe the run game that wasn't elite against Texas, but a little bit better than Texas. They got some plays out of the running backs. And at the end of the game, we're able to get first downs on some tough runs to close us out. It's just maybe they're just a year ahead on stacking these elite recruiting classes than what we are. You know what I mean? And like it's fine margins. I think we could have won the game, a bounce here or there. I don't think Ohio State's been called on a holding call since the Obama administration. There's things that go this way or the other. I just think Sark has this program more primed to consistently compete for titles more than anyone ever has. Like, and so it's like and that's just where it's like when you're there, and then I'm a Cowboys fan on the flip side of that, and I'm not trying to make light of anything to not hold somebody accountable. There's holding accountable, and then there's like, what are you doing? Like, don't like push a guy away because you're gonna just find something to complain about. That's where the like entitled wine and cheese Texas thing comes in sometimes, where it's like, all right, This is by far the best coach you've had 30, 40, 50 years, maybe ever. So, you
So
know, if it becomes a glaring issue moving forward, different discussion. But I do think Milwee, last thing, Milwee's being groomed to be that guy. If Milwee doesn't leave for an offensive coordinator job this year, I don't think he ever is. I think he's like, you're the next. I'm grooming you to be me.
And
He's been.
so
remember
yeah.
this.
So I'll interject about the play calling real quick. I think Stark's doing a great job with the play calling up until one point. Once we hit the red zone, we're the worst team in the nation. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Last year we were ranked 89th in the red zone offense. It showed in the semifinals against Washington. We couldn't. We were in the red zone. We were a play away from playing for a national championship. We didn't succeed. We were in the red zone for a while that drive too. We didn't succeed. This year, after the first, I want to say 2 or 3 games, Texas was in the top 10 for red zone offense. You know what we finished?
Probably 58.
No, 110th in red zone. So
Here's
the issue isn't play calling. The issue is red zone play calling.
yeah, I
What
think,
happens
but
when
that's
we get to the red zone? I think what happens is once we get to the red zone, Sark is so used to calling the plays that he has that the gadget plays, the movement plays, and everything else. When he gets in the red zone, those are taken away from him, and he kind of draws a blank. He goes to the same script that he always does. That's what happened here. He went to the same script of what Caleb Downs called it out at the end of the game. He said they use the crackback toss to the boundary in big moments, and it succeeds for them. We were waiting on it. That's what happened on that second down, and we lost 7 yards of it. The red zone offense is atrocious. You can't go from 10th at week 3 to 110th in the semis and expect to win. Something has to change once you get in the red zone. You can't call, like I said, Sark's a great play caller, but in the red zone, his plays don't work. It showed that 2 years in a row in the semifinals where you're in the red zone and you need to play for a national championship, or you need a handful of plays to play for a national championship, and none of them work.
well, I think one of the reasons sometimes play calling in the red zone is difficult for elite play callers is because especially once you're inside the 5, it kind of no longer becomes like who can call better plays. It becomes who's got it's more it becomes a Jimmy's and Joe's thing versus an X's and O's thing. Like when you're inside the 5, it becomes who's more man. Like who
Yeah,
can who can enforce their will on somebody and push you back 2 yards and score. And I think sometimes these elite play callers get a little cute in the red zone and try misdirection or try slant. Now, one thing that the slant route that Golden ran was one of the best slant routes I've seen run. I mean, it's Justin Jefferson esque, but also on the point of play calling, and I'm not comparing these two guys. It's just a similarity that's taken place. Ryan Day relinquished play calling for the first time this year, and he gave it up to Chip Kelly. Now, Chip Kelly's an upgrade. I doubt you're going to find an upgrade for Sark, but he did do it, right? That was an argument that if you go look up, can Ryan Day win a title? All of the Ohio State local media was like, can he win one calling plays? He relinquished it, and he's playing for a national title now in the first year that he did. It's just a parallel to it. I don't think you can upgrade. Clearly, I think Sark's a better play caller than Ryan Day was, but I do think the inside the 5 play calling is tough because it really becomes of who's more man than the other team.
yeah, that's what I'm.
Who's got the better dudes?
Red zone. Winning in the red zone's pushing the other guy over and be like, that Ohio State defense was really good. I think a lot of people run the same red zone plays and same run plays, and they're like, I know when I play defense a lot of times, like you get inside the 20, you know what a team's going to do oftentimes, and it's just about winning. Sark's first 2 years, they ranked 5th and 17th in the red zone. 5th the first year when we went 5-7, 17th. We had Bijan Robinson, Roshan Johnson. You know what I mean? Casey Thompson could run a little bit. Like that was an element in the red zone. I think next season when Arch Manning's here, obviously, I think if CJ Baxter was on the team this year, we would have had a much better red zone offense. I'm not saying it would have been top 10, top 15, but I don't think it would have been 88th or whatever we were. I think there will be some things. And he did get gadgety. Like, you're right. I agree with that. But I think it was his lack of trust in being able to beat Ohio State straight up. And I would have rather seen 2 plays, up the middle. If you go back and watch that first down play, Jarrett Gibson had a hole to the right, and he kind of went into, so I don't want to there's things to nitpick, and we're gonna nitpick. We got a podcast, like we should. I'm not in any way saying we shouldn't, but it's also just tip the cap. Like that defense is badass with a lot of seniors on it, a lot of really smart players, a good defensive coordinator. As good as Sark is an offense coordinator, Jim Knowles really good defensive coordinator too. He gets paid a lot of money to call that defense. It's like we're gonna see a lot of these players on both of those teams play in the NFL for a long time. I think they might have had one or two more this time. And when we go to Columbus next season, it's going to mean a lot less than this one means, and it's not going to help us get over it if we win. But nonetheless, we might have one or two more NFL guys in Columbus in this next game. So
Yeah.
let's just
Also remember, like in the red zone too, a lot of college programs don't even refer to it as the red zone. They break it into 3 separate 10-yard zones. So a lot of them call it like a red zone, a blue zone, and a green zone, or whatever they call them. So I'd be interested to see if somebody could pull the stat on how many red zone touchdowns did Texas have against P5 teams that came in the 10-yard line and the 5. Because a lot of coaches will look at it and be the reason I know this, I've heard Denbrock actually talk about it before when he was at LSU. People are like, our red zone offense is really good. He's like, no, you think the red zone offense is good because we've scored like 80% of the time when we're on the 2-yard line and in. But we're
yeah.
really bad from the 5 to the 12, which we call
Mm-hmm.
blue zone. So, I think it would be interesting. Texas might be one of the country from 10 to 20. Like, if they're on the 10-yard line to the 20, they might score there all the time. Their problem may be the 10 to the goal line.
Yeah, or the 5 to the goal line.
Yeah, like
Even I
it may
mean,
be those short yardage deals.
I think we're one of the worst. Like I don't. I think we're in the lower half of the country. I would
Because you really don't
guess.
have one of those running backs. Like if you look at great red zone teams that score on the goal line, like if you look at like the Eagles in the NFL, they have the tush push.
Yeah.
Teams usually, if they can score from the 5-yard line in, they usually have a running back that's a bruiser that kind of has a nose to just wiggle his way forward, or they QB sneak it really well. But a lot of
Yeah,
times,
those NFL.
they struggle
Yeah,
at like the
like that's
15-yard line.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, even I was watching that Eagles game. Like Josh Jacobs had a touchdown that was nasty, or he got to the one. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where it's like running backs make a play, they run through your face, and like they're gonna get in the end zone. Marshawn Lynch was gonna get in the end zone. You know what I mean? You're not gonna 4 times keep Marshawn Lynch on the 1 inch line. Like
Texas,
even if you are winning at the line of scrimmage,
Scattergo's one of those guys. Like if you give Scattergo 4 touches on the goal line, he's going to get in one.
Texas ranked 120th in FBS.
Yeah, we were bad. I mean, terrible. So that's why he's so gadgety, though. Like that's not like. I mean, I guarantee he's calling power plays down there just like everybody is. He's putting an extra lineman on the field just like everybody is, and trying to get a push. Like we weren't getting a push down there. We gave our
We lost you. We
as
lost
good
your
as we thought it would be.
Well, there he is.
we lost your volume for a second.
Oh, my bad. I was going to say we could have our quick discussion on the offensive line. As good as it was over these last 3 years, that class in particular, the junior and senior class, this year just wasn't as good as we thought it would be. And I would say because did not get that push in the run game.
It's the
Like
7-on-7 pandemic. It's the 7-on-7 paradox in sports right now. We talked about in the live. It's these kids
yeah,
grow up pass blocking, not run blocking. Pass blocking makes
yeah,
them money. It's the fun thing to do. They're not great run blockers anymore. These elite O linemen are not great run blockers anymore. And it's too much evidence to point to that not being true.
Before we start critiquing even more of this fucking Texas loss, Bo, what did you think about the OSU team that y'all and I are going to face for a national championship?
Well, I I do think this year's OSU team has more dudes than last year because we did play a very similar OSU team last year with both Ibuka and then they also had Marvin Harrison Jr. at the line. Um, which looking back at that game compared to today or this weekend, we were able to contain Harrison Jr. kind of like what y'all did with Jeremiah Smith. Only X factors, and I mean, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, Carnell Tate. I mean, kid was a dog in that game. So like, our biggest issue is going to be able to guard 3 elite receivers all at the same time. I think Al Golden's definitely going to have a scheme for them. Golden's been kind of paying our bills all season. He's been keeping us in games we probably should have lost. So they're tough. I mean, obviously, they had both of the same running backs last year. Only difference is their quarterback, really. So, you're switching from Kyle McCord to Will Howard, which comparatively, if you're comparing on the stat sheet, Kyle McCord had a great year this year at Syracuse, but realistically, they're about the same on paper, I think. I think they're pretty even across the board in their play styles. So I think it's really going to come down to what receivers we're going to be able to stop and how Ohio State's going to be able to possibly get turnovers on the ball. I think that's going to be the biggest issue. And obviously, as everyone saw, Riley Leonard still likes to throw fucking interceptions to the defense. So we're going to have to play through that, of course. But um, if we're able to control the clock like we did against Penn State, then I think we have a really good chance. Because realistically, I don't know if y'all watched the game last year or not, but the only reason we lost to Ohio State last year was a big give me up play with 14 seconds left on the clock. Emeka Ibuka over the top, and they kicked a 20-yard field goal to ice the game 1-3. So it's not that we can't play with them; it's if who controls the clock longer. So, because obviously we don't have those dudes at wide receiver or anything like that, but we do have a very stellar run game, I think, for the most part. And as long as Riley makes his smart plays, and honestly, if Mitch Evans comes out, he's a fucking problem. I think we can hang with him. Because if Mitch can do what he did last game, I think we have a really good shot. He was making good catches, fighting for extra yards every play, and also Aeneas Williams. That kid fucking came out of nowhere. Our third string
Don't forget
fucking
about
running
our
back.
boy. Don't forget about our boy from
Came
Westlake.
out, had 5 or 6 catches for like 70 yards. Kid came to play. So I think it's going to be a
Greyhouse.
really good game. I hope. I don't think it's going to. I don't think Ohio State's going to come in and blow us out like what the national media is saying. I think the 9.5 spread Notre Dame's going to cover, and it's going to be a real interesting game to watch. I'm curious to see what Golden and Denbrock are kind of cooking up both on the offensive and defensive side of this game. So I'm optimistic. Still like shitting myself, but we're optimistic, and obviously this is a revenge game for Freeman. He is 0-2 against Ohio State so far, but
and he's a former linebacker, so he's playing against his alma mater.
exactly.
So
Well, don't forget my boy Greyhouse either.
Well, yeah, no, of course, no. Great House had a couple great plays there. Love him and Faison both. Obviously in our receiving core because Bo Collins was absolutely fucking non-existent. Don't know if they're resting him and kind of hopefully he plays in the Natty, but if not, we've still got a couple of guys who can do some flash here and there.
I
But
agree with everything you said, Bo. I do. I really think this is going to be a good game. I think you guys. I still think the same thing. I think about 29. I think he's garbage. He won the defensive MVP because Allard threw him the game, but I think he's a problem. And yet, if you guys could stop the run the same way Texas, the same way Michigan did with a light front, you can take receivers out of a game. That's like been the story of football for the history of football. There's people that were able to take Jerry Rice and Randy Moss out of games if you can't get anything somewhere else. You can bracket guys and remove them from the game. And so that's I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it can happen. And I just do think people are still too quick to anoint this Ohio State team as the greatest college football team of all time. And there's been a lot of close games that they've been in. There's a lot of teams that could challenge Ohio State. I think Notre Dame's one of them. And y'all's run game. It's a really good running attack. If you can take care of the football, not turn it over, and average 5 yards a carry, then you're going to control the clock, and this is going to be a ball game.
I think Denbrock is sneakily one of the best OCs in the country. Like we talked about it on the live. Like when you look at his past 5-year resume, it's pretty decorated. He's playing for a title at Notre Dame. He has a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels, and he brought Cincinnati to a playoff. All have like he's gonna figure out a way to attack Ohio State. I think Ohio State can win the game if they keep this thing, if they can kind of control the clock and run the football. If they can't run the ball, they're in trouble. Right.
That's what I'm saying. I think Notre Dame's running game is for sure going to be there. Like they have an elite run game. I'm not saying it's not going to be less. It's not going to be the best run defense they've played all year with Ohio State. Yeah, probably so. But Notre Dame's running game is definitely better than Ohio State's run game, and Notre Dame can stop the run. So that's where I'm like, hey, this is more of a matchup, a little trickier matchup than people are ever going to acknowledge going into it. Ohio State should be the favorite, I think, but it's not this like Ohio State's going to blow the doors off them. No, there's a way where we're looking at the fourth quarter and it's like Notre Dame's been controlling this whole game.
Yeah, and it could easily happen.
And also, the biggest X factor in this, Marcus Freeman might be the best special teams head coach in the country. Notre Dame special teams are a weapon. He's very good at it. He's very creative. That's an X factor in this game against a guy
Yeah,
like Ryan Day who can shit down his leg every now and then. You do some of the stuff he did against Georgia, Ryan Day will shit down his leg. I mean, he will go out there and try to play defense himself. Like, he will panic.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't remind Marcus Freeman coming down to Frisco, Texas, and coaching the Dallas Cowboys.
But, dude, he's a great special. The shit he
He's a
pulled
great
in
coach. He's a great coach, Bo. I like him.
I
I love Freeman.
What's his buyout? I'm gonna look that up because that might answer my question right now.
I don't know.
That I'm not sure.
Here's a question I got.
holy water and $1,000.
Buddha, how many guys does LSU have going into the draft this year? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. LSU's got a couple fringe guys, so realistically, LSU will probably end up having 6 to 7 guys drafted this year. You're gonna have Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Mason Taylor, Braden Swenson, probably Paris Chan. I don't know. And then you got this Kyron Lacey deal, so actually probably 6.
Texas, as of right, do you know how many has entered, or no? You don't know offhand.
I don't know the number that I know. A lot more have entered because LSU's had a ton of guys go like, I'm entered. Like LSU's long snapper declared for the draft yesterday, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Texas,
get drafted.
yeah, as of a few moments ago, Texas has got 11. Golden's leaving, Makuba, Banks, which we all thought, Hayden Connor, which we all thought, Jaden Blue, who I don't think he should enter, but he's entering. Gavin Holmes, another guy I don't think should enter, but he's entering. Vernon Broughton, we thought were going to go. We knew Ewers was going to go. We knew Barron was going to go, and we knew Majors was going to go. So you got a couple question marks on there. Like I don't know why Blue's entering. And I don't know why Holmes is entering. I don't think Blue's done enough as a running back to be drafted high as a running back. He was more of a scat back. You know, he was a weapon outside of him running the ball. He looked best when he was catching the ball in an open field. He did have a lot of fumbles when he was the actual rusher with the ball, so I don't get why he's entering, unless he just doesn't feel like he's going to have a home at UT come next year. And then Gavin Holmes, I don't see why he's entering either. He didn't have the best years. I'm not saying he had a horrible year, but he didn't have enough, I don't think, on paper to be a decent draft pick to make him enough money. I think they can both make more money staying at UT.
Yeah, I think Blue has world class speed, so he's gonna blow people away at the combine stuff.
Yeah.
He's not gonna get drafted high, but he'll go somewhere and he'll be good in the NFL. He's an elite receiver too out of the backfield, like elite.
Yeah, his outfield is out of the backfield catching was better than his actual probably running this year.
Like Shanahan or McVay or Andy Reid will scoop him up in the 5th and just make an absolute weapon out of him.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys somebody got in his ear and was like, your stock's not going to get higher.
Yeah, like you're more for
you can blow a combine out right now. Go get in the 4th or 5th round, 6th round,
and there's guys back specifically. Like it's like you're more NFL than like just go to the NFL. Like you could go find the right spot in the NFL and become a proverbial superstar. I'm not saying like all pro superstar, but become like a team favorite guy somewhere and be like
Jarek McKinnon. It's probably a good comp to him. Jarek McKinnon.
Yeah, no, that's a great comp. Great comp.
My worry is that he ends up becoming like I can't think of his name. Our running back last year, the speedy back we got from Bama.
No, sorry.
Bama. I can't think of his name. I took a picture with the dude and everything after the Red River game. Dang it, Keelan Robinson. He's got the speed. He's got that loose.
Way smaller than him.
For me, I hope Blue doesn't disappear on a roster like that. Because I mean, he's still on Jacksonville's roster, but it's kind of like he's one of those like, hey, what happened?
5'7". Like Jaden Blue's way better than him.
Yeah, I think Jaden Blue's also probably shown that he can be he's valuable on a roster. Like I don't think he can be a consistent bell cow every down back, but I think he showed enough where you can put him on your roster and go, if our lead back gets hurt, he can carry the torch for 3 or 4 weeks. Like, I think he showed enough where it's like he brings production in multiple ways. And I don't know, I think his run blocking or his pass blocking was okay enough to where it's serviceable.
Yeah, he's like an elite 6 man. I mean, he's a touchdown getter, like which
Yeah,
is most. He scores tutties. That's what he does, and so it's like I think Texas should have used him more that way. I think Sark lost his trust for him, or Tashard Choice lost his for him, and it got to a point to where he was just like a straight up backup, And I think if you use it more as like, yeah, look, you're not going to start. There's situations we maybe don't trust you in, but you're the first guy off the bench, and you're going to get like starter snaps. We might have a different story right now, that Ohio State game, but I think if he finds the right spot, like a lot of guys, get drafted to the right place, the right coaches, right scheme, he could be really good.
yeah, he's like a Sean
I
Payton wet dream. Like Sean Payton
I,
was.
I think you I think you send him up there to Detroit in that Dan Campbell product they've got going on up there.
That would be
Yeah,
that would be.
Well, I'm just saying because that's exactly how they use Gibbs. They use Gibbs in that pass scheme a lot. So I mean, you throw him up there, and I mean, let's be honest here, David Montgomery, he doesn't have much shelf life left.
yeah. No,
So you get him as an understudy right under there at that third, at that third string back. Move him up to second option. Him and Gibbs would cook.
Yep.
yep.
So I mean, to kind of recap, we can't really recap the full season yet. We'll do that after the national championship game. But to recap where Texas and LSU ended up, because I mean, hey, Bo's Fighting Irish is still playing in there. He still got wins to get. LSU finishes the season 9-4. Overall feel of it, Buddha.
Yeah, it was lackluster. It was disappointing. Um, I think the offseason's been a bright spot thus far. I mean, I think LSU had some issues similar to Texas in terms of, like we talked about the O line. Like the LSU O line was really good, but it was also really underwhelming in terms of like physicality and push that it got. I think that's part of the 7-on-7 paradox problem. Uh, LSU's defense got better. I mean, I'm happy with that. I don't know. I think LSU is kind of. I know this question got asked. I think LSU is a. It's. I think it's a make a playoff or bust. Now that I've kind of gotten away from it a little bit, I think it's just you got to. LSU's got to get back on a national scale, where come Christmas you are a team that's still in the mix. I think that's it. I think by the time you get to Christmas, you have to still be a team that on game day they're talking about you're still playing. I don't think you got to win a title this year, and and I also don't buy into the whole like look what Freeman's done in 3 years and look at what Kelly's done. I get the comparison and you never get rid of it, but it's not really an apples to apples comparison. Freeman took over a team that was ranked fifth in the country. Brian Kelly took over a team that was 6-7 and had 30 players on the roster. So, like, now has Kelly gotten better since he got to LSU? No, I don't think so. So that's a negative. But I also don't buy into it's a 1-to-1 comparison, Brian Kelly versus Mark Freeman. They're much different roster situations. But then again, it's a bad look on Kelly, and I hope it lights a fire under his ass. Again, LSU make a playoff, or you got to move on from Kelly.
Yeah, we'll do full breakdowns at the end of the season. I just wanted to catch a brief. What's your last feelings before we close it out on Texas this season, and we get a full breakdown next time, Shelley?
I think it was a good season, man. I think it was a good season. It was a fun season. We went to the SEC championship. We were a hair away from the championship game away. Again, that hurts, like I said, but the team's in a really good spot. We didn't have the run game. That was ultimately the Achilles heel. I think that'll get fixed through the offseason with Cedric Baxter coming back. He has to rehab fully. You can't bring him back quick. Same with Derek Williams. When it's ligament injuries, like Derek Williams is a guy that's a hammer. Like he's a downhill safety. If you take his speed away, he's not as good of a player. He can't get as much depth and still play the run the way he does. Like there's a lot of stuff he does that is dependent on his speed. Same with Cedric Baxter. Speed's still got to be there. The agility's still got to be there. So you definitely don't want to bring these guys back too early. But if those guys come back strong, especially Cedric, I think the running game will definitely be there. Let's see what they do in the transfer portal. You got to understand, this is just starting for Texas. And just like with the high school kids, they really take their time and evaluate hard because they're at the point now where it's like you're only taking a few of these guys. Some of it will be for depth, but the one or two superstars that you get, you don't want to bring in in a Jai Hall like we brought in the past or something like that ends up spoiling the locker room. I even think Isaiah Bond. I've heard some things, not to like bash him or anything, but I think if he were to come back to play college football, it won't be at Texas, and not because Isaiah Bond doesn't want to be at Texas. I think that when he got hurt, he kind of let his character go a little bit, or just wasn't doing everything you should do when you're on a team for a little bit, and it hurt him. So see what they do in the transfer portal. But I'm excited, man. I think it was a good season. I think we move on from, Quinn's career's over now, and the next thing's going to be the next thing. Sark's not giving up his play calling, so I think we should just move on from all that and enjoy. It was a fantastic season. We're competing for championships now at Texas.
Absolutely. Bo, can't get your take because you're still playing for a national championship, brother. Who would have thought after week 2? Who would have thought?
Never would have thought we'd even be here, to be brutally honest. But you know what? We played it out, and it's fine. I mean, people can say what they want. We had a cakewalk schedule. I mean, but that's just that's how the cookies crumble. So
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll cover the full national championship, and we'll make our picks on Friday for the live for sure. And then we'll start to transition into basketball and some of the nonsense that's been going off the field with all of our teams. The crazy news that happened in Baton Rouge with Kyron Lacey. Hopefully, something clears up where that kid didn't ruin his future, because, man,
Horrible.
wasted potential to no end, and it's just a sad incident. The whole thing out. But I think that's all we got for him. Anything else
Well,
for
I
him, Phil?
quickly want to touch on the Cowboys coaching situation.
Oh yeah, completely forgot about it. Go
Well,
ahead.
obviously, big no longer going to be with the Dallas Cowboys going into next year. They decided to part ways. It's one of those things. Jerry Jones fucking around, but at the same time, it's like you're engaged for however many years and you can't set a wedding date. That's kind of what this felt like to me between McCarthy and the Jones family. And yet, not to get into any speculation on who the next guy will be, because I've learned better at this point as a Cowboys fan. I'll let the reports come out and just see what they're going to do. But this is the most important decision and hire in the history of the franchise. Um, Jimmy Johnson replacing Tom Landry. He created the 90s dynasty and got us to 5 Super Bowls. He won 2 of them. Barry Switzer won 1 with his team. And yet now we're on a 30-year drought without even sniffing one. So, let me just tell you my life timeline as a Cowboys fan, and that's just a human being, because this is a big part of my human being, like me as a being, the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. April 16th, 1997, Shawnee Jackson Sr. and Carmen Jackson brought in their one and only boy, yours truly, right here. It's important to explain that because the context of my name being a junior, I'm named after my father. The reason that happened is 1997 was coming off the greatest dynasty this league had ever seen at that time in the 90s Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, my dad, being a Cowboys fan since 77 when he saw Staubach win a Super Bowl, he was enamored by the Cowboys dynasty. He wanted to name me Dallas Troy Jackson. And my mom was real stressed about it, didn't want to name me Dallas Troy Jackson. So close to delivery, she basically talked them into conceding with Junior. Because my dad was dead ass like, you're not going to let me name my first boy that I'm bringing into this world, maybe my only boy, then we're going to have problems after this pregnancy. Basically, that's the worst thing anybody's ever done to me. I can't imagine not letting, me not name my only boy. Well, this is what's gone on since then. Quincy Carter couldn't stop smoking crack. Tony Romo fumbled that field goal in Seattle when Jason Witten became a dick hair away from a first down the play before. That killed the big tuna in Parcells. T.O. cried, you pussy. T.O. cried after the game, effectively ending Bill Parcells. He's done nothing but age and apologize for the man that he is since that day. 2007, we go 13-3. We're the best team in the NFC, and Tony Romo and Jason Witten decided it's a good fucking idea in the bye week to go to Cabo with their girls that they're not with, neither one of them anymore. They go to Cabo. Why? Because they don't care enough. It doesn't mean enough to them. Doesn't mean as much to them as it means to me. It's a game to them. This is my fucking life, Jerry. It's my life. We lose to the Giants, who we beat twice. I watched the Giants go win the Super Bowl. 2006, going back to that, we beat the Indianapolis Colts, who won the Super Bowl. In 2009, we beat the Saints, who won the Super Bowl. In 2014, we beat Seattle, the defending champions, who choked off the Super Bowl. You go into the Jason Garrett era, you just clap, clap, clap it up. Clap it up, you frotchy pussy. Clap it up. Clap it up and ruin my life. You fucked me, Jason. You fucked me. You burned my ass so many times and destroyed my life. In that era, the Dez Bryant catch happens, right? Dez catch, the most traumatizing experience of my life to date. And that includes everything I've gone through in life. That was the most traumatizing moment of my life. Gene Steratore is the Antichrist. The NFL just decided to forget what a catch was for like 2 years. If you guys don't remember that, they only did that to burn my ass. I'm convinced of it. Sometimes I feel like I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I come in 97 and this is all that happens. And then the Dak Prescott era starts, but simultaneously with the Dak Prescott era starting, you got Tony Romo entering the booth. So this fucking asshole that destroyed my entire childhood killed Bill Parcells. Killed him and ruined everything for me. I got called all kinds of names that you're not allowed to say anymore. Every day I went to school, I got shit on. Every time, what happened to your Cowboys? Romo choked again. Now it's, I don't know, Jim. I don't know. Tony, I don't know how I haven't killed myself from what you've done to me. And now I got to listen to you and Jason Garrett on Sunday nights. And then the Dak Prescott era happens and his fan base just so happens to become worse than the LeBron James fans when it comes to glazing and being unreasonable. He goes 17-32 coming into this year against playoff qualifiers. He's on every fucking commercial there is. We're in the middle of a disastrous, humiliating season, and he's got Dude Perfect, those asshole Aggies, at his house remodeling. He's having a second kid in record time. Record time. I'm not saying don't have as many kids as you want. I have never seen someone have a kid and like 2 weeks later be pregnant again. Ever in my life. He's focused on everything but Lombardi number 6. And so this hire has to be it's by far the most important hire in the history of the franchise. It's the most important decision that's ever been made in Shoney Jackson's life. If they fuck this up, I'm just a guy that watches football now. I'm just a guy that watches. If they fuck this up, I'm just going to be a guy that watches on Sundays. Nothing more or less. Last thing I'll leave you guys with, I don't think Chris Fowler has Ryan Day's tiny dick out of his mouth yet. I think he's still getting after it. And Kirk Herbstreit, I said this on the live. I've slept on it. I mean it, so I'm going to say it again. It's time for Kirk Herbstreit to leave the dogs at home and stop making everything about him in college football. Like, we all love dogs. I love my dogs. I like dogs just as much as the next guy. I don't parade my dogs out to make things about myself. So I think Kirk should leave the dogs at home and let college football be college football. Love you guys more than you know, not as much as you think.
God, that was like
What?
I could do that all day, every day on repeat, and it'd bring me nothing but joy. The whole thing, the whole deal. The sad part is the Saints are going to hire Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, the Saints can't wait
Because the
to
Saints are the
hire
dumbest
Mike
fucking
McCarthy.
franchise in professional sports. Mickey Loomis is a fucking worthless piece of shit. Gail Benson's an old, decrepit horse lady. Fuck all of them. I hate both of them. I hate Dennis Allen. Kind of feel bad for him that he had to have those two fucking dumbasses as his boss.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I've never seen. I mean, the Saints. The moment that Mike McCarthy news hit the airwaves, the
Mickey Loomis'
Saints.
dick got so fucking hard immediately. He was like, "Oh, buddy, got him. That's my guy." An old fucking fat, worthless piece of shit. Let's bring him in here. He wasn't even fucking worth the fucking Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers was doing ayahuasca, calling his own goddamn plays. He goes to Dallas. They shit the bed and are fucking dog shit. No changes there. He's just a fat Jason Garrett. Mickey Loomis's fucking stupid ass goes, "I got a good idea. This is my dream guy. This is my dream guy. Let's bring him in." They're going to hire him.
They're like acting like this is, dude. Like, I've never. Well, I'll say this though, to their defense, McCarthy's from Pittsburgh. He's like this northern guy. But if you didn't know that, you just put up a portrait of McCarthy in a Saints pullover. He looks like New Orleans, brother. He looks like
Yeah, except he acts like
he looks
fucking
like a
Oshkosh,
boudin bowl.
Wisconsin.
He's a walking like fucking walking jambalaya bowl.
Yeah, except he acts like he's fucking Wisconsin. He's a fucking
Yeah, he's northerner. He's
he's
a
a
northerner.
fat dork.
He's
All right.
fat. He's a northerner, and he gets fat brain. Like, that's what I call it. Like, situational moments with Mike McCarthy. He's actually a good. Like, he'll win you guys games. Y'all be winning 11 games a year.
Imagine
Your
Mike
quarterback
McCarthy
will
going, "What do
improve.
you think, Derek Carr?" Jesus
It'll just
Christ,
be,
dude. That's like a head-on
yeah,
collision
dude. That's and
every.
you'll have no money.
I'm just my brain just turns into a fucking bag of spaghettios, and I just gotta watch it like fucking torture. Like it's just I'm on the TV and people are just watching me, and it's just like you either give us $1 million or we fucking slice his neck. That's what I'm gonna be like. I'm gonna be the guy sitting there wrapped up in duct tape every fucking weekend, watching fucking fat Mike McCarthy and dumbass Derek Carr lead my fucking franchise. Yeah, so I might jump off the second fucking story window of my house.
All right.
Big Mike might be the most underrated locker room guy, though. Like, they fucking love this guy. And they smashed the watermelons that one game. Like, he just kind of understands dudes, I think. But then he's too much like it'll be traumatizing. It'll be the worst moment of the game. His brain just gets too fat for its own good, and he fakes a punt on like the 10-yard line. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And then everything goes downhill from that point. Like, that's the Mike McCarthy experience. It's like, you know what? We've won 7 out of 8. Quarterback looks better than he ever has. You will fake a fucking punt from the 20, and then you'll lose 4 out of 5, and everything will fall apart.
Dude, I keep thinking about it, and all I want to do is just be like, tell my wife, like, get on Amazon and order the brown paper bags now.
Yeah.
All right.
No, y'all are gonna hate him. Y'all are gonna hate.
I hate
Mike.
him already, and he's not even in a fucking Saints polo, and I already.
That's great.
I can't
That's
even.
great.
I
That's
can't even.
good for content.
The hate is spewing, and I love it. So two
That's
of
good for
our
content.
3 franchises in the NFL just got. We had our meltdowns for them. Bo, you want to tune in about Indianapolis or what?
I don't really think I need to because Pat McAfee roasts them on national TV on a weekly basis. Indy's always getting shit on because they fucking suck.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. Our fucking organization's dog shit. They have more fucking drama around the whole organization and past players and the city itself than the fucking Kardashians. Like, it's fucking pathetic. The goddamn Colts just need to take a rest, just get rid of it and move it somewhere else. What would Patrick Starr say? Let's just take it and push it somewhere else. Get them the fuck out of Indy. I'm about fucking over them.
Send him back to Baltimore. Or
Yes.
the fuck
And on that fucking note, you just heard from Buddha, Shoni Dungy, and the Celtic fanatic himself. Fuck our franchises, they're trash. Go Irish!
All right. I mean, what a way to end it. What a way to end it with everyone shitting on our NFL teams. And hey, I kind of agree every single one of them. Y'all got anything else before we get out of here, guys?
Who dat?
Yeah, go Cowboys.
For the shoe, baby.
Yeah. All right, guys. As always, we'll catch y'all on
For
Friday.
the shoes, the gayest thing of all time.
You just got Seth shirtless doing Snow Angels. Seth, that super fan.
We'll catch y'all on the next one. We'll see y'all on Friday. Y'all have a good one. Hook 'em.
First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. Y'all better listen up. This sports talking tough. So if you got a cup, go on and raise it up. I'll raise one with you as we talk about the sports. It's raining stats and rumors. Let us give you the report. This is First 12 ounces. First 12 ounces, yeah. First 12 ounces.